Churaki, he was an absolute legend. Talk about the lifesavers and so on. He was one of the first. His dad, King Conway, from one of the tribes there, he sent him down to look after the people. And he went down, he said, they're in our country, we need to look after them. So that's what it's all about, sharing and caring. You know, the land is for everybody. So Churaki, he, in a sense, was a legend.
The Spirit of Churaki, to me, it's a production, but it catches the story of who Churaki was and what the Spirit of Churaki and how that plays out in community today. So that's through music and dance and visuals. For us, it was important that we followed our protocols about consulting our eldership. Churaki, even though he's a hero to a lot of people and his stories like happen, but he's also a real person, and whatever we did, whatever it looks like, the production that we come up with, that it still kept integrity for who he was, but also who we are as a people and that our cultural principles.
You know, we just basically use the normal musical technique called jamming to get to the heart of the music and take the traditional songs and make them, not try to gentrify them, but just try to enhance them in contemporary ways. My musical background, I started out playing punk rock, acoustic kind of punk rock with violent Femmes. So in a sense, it's a similar process. What we do in the Femmes is what we're doing in the Spirit of Churaki, taking traditional elements and then making them personal.
And it's just an amazing story, you know, his father saying, hey, there's people dying on our land, on our country, you need to go and help them. So to be able to then take that story and the essence of who that person was and the power of it, even in performing it, the traditional songs fused with the contemporary music has just been amazing.
It starts as a real strong traditional kind of influence in most of the work that we're doing, but then also the individual styles of the musicians. And we approach it like we approach anything in our community. So culturally for us, we believe that no one has all the knowledge and everyone has something to contribute. So in the process, everybody's contributed something to what it is. So that process for us has been real interesting. Like, it's not just I do my little bit and you do a little bit, it's all together. And that's our way.
You can definitely hear the influence of being a people that live right on the ocean. So you can hear that influence, and then the slathers of reggae through there, rock, and the traditional chants.
Well, I thought it would be a great idea if we actually employed people's handwriting. As many samples of handwriting as we can get, because I thought it would be a great idea to show that there's an idea that Churaki is everybody, and everybody is Churaki, and I think that using handwriting, given that it's so personal and has aspects of drawing and mark making and storytelling encompassed within each stroke. You realise that each stroke has a character and holds a history to it.
You know, people sometimes talk about reconciliation, but then you come to a project like this and it's reconciliation in action. It just goes, everything melds together. So these stories, there's a melting pot of stories from the local Indigenous side, but also then the non-Indigenous people who are a part of that story.
We talk about, in our language, we talk about Goodjingburra, and Goodjingburra means long time. But that could be a long time ago, but it can be a long time in the future, you know. So Goodjingburra represents that for us. So in relation to this story, when we consider this story, we consider Churaki, we have to consider our elders and him as an ancestor and who he was and what he stood for and what's his story. Because we're telling, even in telling his story and making work around his story, we add to that story. And we have to be considerate of our grandchildren. As we add to that story, what will they take off from our story in that? And those stories continue, you know, like, and that's for thousands of years. Our old people, and we've passed on those stories, and we want it to be a good one. When we think of, we always have to remember, it's always there for us. Goodjingburra is what we always got to consider in all the actions that we do, you know.